Have you ever considered what truly makes a person strong? It is not simply the capacity to lift weight, wield influence, or achieve success. Real strength, as the Stoics would argue, lies deeper, within our mindset, our habits, and our ability to overcome our inner weaknesses. Life is a series of moments where we encounter resistance, both external and internal, and how we respond to these challenges shapes our true character. In today's world, certain habits often go unchecked, subtly eroding our resilience and limiting our potential. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium, has provided timeless guidance to cultivate virtues like wisdom, courage, self-discipline, and patience. By examining and addressing specific habits that weaken us, Stoicism invites us on a journey of self-reflection, allowing us to transform these limitations into sources of strength. What are these habits that hold us back, you ask? Each habit we will explore carries with it its own unique challenges and solutions, and as we approach the final habit, you may find an answer that resonates so deeply it might just change the way you approach your daily life. Stay with us on this journey of self-discovery, as each step forward brings you closer to a more resilient, purposeful life. 1. Ignoring the well-being of others. When did we start viewing our own happiness as separate from the happiness of those around us? Many of us fall into the habit of focusing solely on our personal goals, neglecting the needs and struggles of others. In Stoic philosophy, there is a term called cosmopolitanism, which reminds us of the interconnectedness of humanity. By ignoring the well-being of others, we weaken not only our moral character, but also our resilience, as we deprive ourselves of the strength that comes from empathy and shared purpose. To the Stoics, virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation cannot flourish in isolation. When we disregard others, we undermine our sense of justice and compassion, two core pillars of Stoicism. Imagine a society where no one cared about the welfare of their neighbor, a world where empathy ceased to exist. How could virtues grow in such barren soil? Stoicism teaches that by recognizing our shared humanity, we find not only inner peace, but also the resilience to face life's hardships together. Consider the impact of benevolence on our well-being. Acts of kindness, as modern studies confirm, not only benefit the recipient, but also foster a sense of satisfaction and connection in the giver. Yet, when we close ourselves off, fixating solely on personal gain, we lose access to this powerful source of fulfillment. The Stoic principle here is clear. True happiness and tranquility arise not from isolated success, but from a life lived in harmony with others. Now, think about how often you've ignored the chance to help someone else, whether it's a stranger in need or a close friend struggling silently. What was it that held you back? Fear, indifference, or perhaps the misconception that you had nothing to gain? The Stoics would remind us that the true gain lies in strengthening our character and virtues through these acts of kindness. Each time we choose to act with empathy and generosity, we grow in ways that cannot be measured by external rewards. Furthermore, ignoring others' well-being leads to isolation, and isolation weakens our spirit. Stoic thinkers like Seneca encouraged us to view all people as deserving of respect and consideration, to see them as family in the great cosmos of human existence. When we engage with others in meaningful ways, we practice the art of compassion, a practice that aligns our actions with our highest values and leads us toward greater moral strength. How can we apply this today? Start small. Make it a point to genuinely listen when someone speaks, to reach out to a friend in need, or even to assist a stranger without expecting anything in return. Each of these acts strengthens your character, aligns you with the Stoic path, and reinforces the habit of goodwill. In ignoring the welfare of others, we ignore our own potential to become a stronger, wiser, more compassionate person. When we begin to care for others, we transform our outlook, finding fulfillment in places we once overlooked. As you think on this, consider how you might live with greater kindness and empathy, aligning yourself more fully with Stoic virtues. Stay with us as we dive deeper into the next habit, seeking external validation, and explore how turning inward can be the key to true self-reliance. 2. Seeking external validation. Have you ever felt the need to prove yourself to others, to gain their approval before feeling satisfied with your efforts? This habit of seeking external validation may seem harmless, even natural, but it can weaken our practice of Stoicism and erode our sense of inner peace. When we place our self-worth in the hands of others, we hand over control of our emotions, confidence, and self-identity, often leaving us vulnerable and anxious. In the teachings of Stoicism, the quest for external validation is seen as a barrier to self-reliance and personal growth. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius emphasize the importance of focusing on one's inner virtues rather than the shifting opinions of others. "Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people," Marcus Aurelius wrote, "unless it affects the common good." How often have you allowed the judgments of others to affect your sense of self, even when those judgments have no bearing on your true character? When our actions are driven by a desire for external validation, we become susceptible to the whims and expectations of those around us. This dependence is unstable and unsustainable. No amount of praise or approval will ever be enough because opinions are fickle, changing with the circumstances. In Stoicism, strength comes from cultivating internal virtues, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice, qualities that are within our control. When we develop these virtues, we find that the approval we once sought outside ourselves has become unnecessary. Imagine, for example, that you complete a project that took hours of effort and dedication. Instead of pausing to appreciate your own accomplishment, you immediately seek feedback, hoping for praise or acknowledgement. If you receive it, you feel validated. If you don't, self-doubt creeps in. But what if you could measure your satisfaction by your own standards? In Stoic thought, self-worth is derived not from others' perceptions, but from a clear conscience and the knowledge that we have acted in alignment with our values. Ask yourself, are you content with who you are, or are you only content when others are content with you? Seeking validation from others puts you on a treadmill, constantly running toward acceptance that is always just out of reach. But Stoicism teaches that true contentment is found by turning inward, by aligning our actions with our principles and trusting in our own judgment. To combat the habit of seeking external validation, the Stoics suggest practicing self-reflection and self-assessment. Begin by asking why you seek approval in the first place. Is it due to a lack of self-trust or perhaps a fear of failure? Confronting these underlying insecurities can help you understand and gradually overcome the habit. Over time, you may find that validation from within is more rewarding and stable than any external praise could ever be. As you start focusing on cultivating inner virtues, you will notice a shift. Your actions will be guided by what you believe is right, rather than by what others deem worthy. This shift strengthens your character and brings you closer to the Stoic ideal of autonomy and inner peace. Validation becomes a byproduct of your growth, no longer the goal. Reflect on this as we move to the next habit, procrastination. How can we embrace the present and act with purpose, letting go of the anxiety that fuels our tendency to delay? Let's explore this in the following section. 3. Procrastination. Why do we often delay the very tasks that would lead us to growth and fulfillment? Procrastination is a common habit, one that robs us of time, opportunity, and peace of mind. The Stoics would argue that procrastination is rooted in anxiety and avoidance, a reluctance to engage with discomfort and uncertainty. But in avoiding these feelings, we weaken our resolve and diminish our potential. For the Stoic, time is a finite resource, something to be used with purpose and intention. Epictetus famously said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" This quote speaks to the heart of procrastination, urging us to confront our fears and seize the moment. By delaying action, we allow fear to dictate our choices, preventing us from taking control of our lives. In Stoicism, one of the remedies for procrastination is to embrace the concept of carpe diem, seizing the day. This doesn't mean rushing into tasks recklessly, but rather approaching each moment with presence and purpose. Often, procrastination stems from focusing too much on the potential outcome or the perceived difficulty of a task. By shifting our focus to the process itself, we can break down large tasks into manageable steps, taking action without being overwhelmed by the end goal. Another Stoic approach to combating procrastination is to remind ourselves of what is within our control. We cannot predict the future or guarantee outcomes, but we can control our actions in the present. Epictetus taught that focusing on what is in our control allows us to let go of unnecessary worries and doubts. This mindset, when applied to tasks we tend to procrastinate on, can free us from the paralysis of indecision and motivate us to act with clarity and intention. Let's consider a practical example. Suppose you have an important project or goal, but you find yourself continuously putting it off. Perhaps you're waiting for the right time or for a surge of motivation. But Stoicism teaches us that the right time is now because the present is all we have. By starting small, completing just one part of the task, or dedicating a short focused period to it, you initiate a cycle of action and momentum. Over time, this builds your resilience and lessens the hold procrastination has over you. So how will you begin to break free from the cycle of delay? Stoicism offers a practical path. Set aside your fears and approach each moment as an opportunity. By doing so, you cultivate a mindset focused on presence, productivity, and purpose. In the next section, we'll discuss a habit that may be even more insidious: negative self-talk. How can we change our internal dialogue and approach ourselves with the compassion and clarity the Stoics encourage? 4. Negative self-talk. How often do you find yourself silently criticizing your own actions, doubting your abilities, or focusing on perceived shortcomings? This habit of negative self-talk is insidious, gnawing at our self-esteem and eroding our inner strength. In Stoicism, our thoughts are seen as powerful determinants of our perception and well-being. Marcus Aurelius famously noted, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." If our thoughts are negative, they color our reality in shades of doubt and fear, making it difficult to cultivate a sense of purpose and resilience. Negative self-talk is a habit that weakens us by creating barriers to self-acceptance and confidence. When we constantly berate ourselves, we diminish our ability to face challenges with grace and clarity. But Stoicism offers a remedy, teaching us to examine and challenge our thoughts with rationality. Instead of accepting every critical thought as truth, the Stoics urge us to assess these thoughts carefully. Are they grounded in reality, or are they exaggerations born of insecurity? To begin this process, the Stoics suggest practicing mindfulness, a deliberate awareness of our thoughts without judgment. By observing our inner dialogue, we become conscious of the self-criticism or doubt that arises. In those moments, ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it based on reason, or is it simply a reflection of fear? This practice allows us to create space between our thoughts and reactions, giving us the opportunity to choose more empowering and constructive thoughts. Another powerful approach to combating negative self-talk is to replace it with compassion. Stoicism teaches us to treat ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a friend in need. When we make mistakes or experience setbacks, instead of harshly criticizing ourselves, we can focus on what we can learn and how we can improve. Each failure, seen through the Stoic lens, becomes a valuable lesson rather than a personal flaw. Imagine you've made a misstep at work or in your personal life. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, consider the Stoic approach. Evaluate the situation calmly, extract any wisdom it offers, and let go of the rest. This shift from criticism to compassion empowers you to grow rather than shrink from challenges, building resilience in the process. As you practice redirecting negative thoughts and embracing self-compassion, you'll find a new strength emerging, a strength that is rooted in kindness and rationality. Your perception of yourself becomes more balanced, enabling you to face life's trials with a calm and steady mind. In the next section, we'll explore a habit that keeps us from reaching our potential: avoiding challenges. How can we learn to step outside our comfort zones and embrace growth as the Stoics encourage? 5. Avoiding challenges. Why do we often shy away from challenges, preferring the comfort of familiarity over the discomfort of growth? This tendency to avoid difficult situations limits our potential, preventing us from cultivating courage, patience, and adaptability. Stoic philosophy teaches that by facing challenges head-on, we transform ourselves, growing stronger and wiser with each experience. The Stoics did not seek out suffering, but they did believe in the transformative power of discomfort. In Stoicism, courage is a virtue, and courage cannot be developed without adversity. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This statement reflects a deep Stoic truth. Growth requires vulnerability, and vulnerability often brings discomfort. But avoiding challenges denies us the opportunity to practice resilience, to deepen our understanding of ourselves, and to push the limits of what we are capable of. Consider how frequently we choose the easy path, bypassing anything that might unsettle us. We might avoid difficult conversations, new experiences, or risks because we fear failure or rejection. But Stoicism views these fears as barriers to true growth. Each time we step out of our comfort zone, we build a little more strength and confidence, discovering parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed. The Stoics also remind us that by facing challenges, we develop virtues like patience and perseverance. Life's difficulties are inevitable, and by willingly engaging with them, we prepare ourselves for future struggles. It's through adversity that we learn resilience, becoming less affected by external events and more rooted in our inner strength. To embrace this Stoic approach, start by identifying areas where you may be holding back. Are there opportunities for growth that you're avoiding? Perhaps it's a difficult project, a conversation you've been putting off, or a new skill you're hesitant to learn. Whatever the challenge, approach it with a Stoic mindset. Begin with small steps, allowing yourself to grow gradually. Each act of courage builds upon the last, strengthening your ability to face even greater challenges. As you lean into these moments of discomfort, you'll notice a shift, a newfound confidence and inner resilience. Stoicism teaches us that true strength is found not in avoiding challenges, but in facing them with courage and patience. In the following section, we'll discuss another habit that weakens our inner resolve: excessive materialism. How can we shift our focus from the external to the internal, cultivating lasting contentment? 6. Excessive materialism. In our modern world where consumerism reigns, we often equate happiness with possessions, but Stoic philosophy reminds us that excessive attachment to material wealth weakens our inner resilience, making us dependent on external factors for satisfaction. When we define ourselves by what we own, we lose sight of what truly matters: our character, values, and relationships. Stoicism teaches us to focus on the development of inner virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues, unlike material possessions, cannot be lost, stolen, or destroyed. They are within our control, providing a stable foundation for true contentment. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely warned against the endless pursuit of wealth, noting that material desires only fuel dissatisfaction, as there is always more to want. Have you ever acquired something you deeply desired, only to find the satisfaction fleeting? This is the trap of materialism. Stoicism encourages us to detach from this cycle of desire and to seek fulfillment in things that bring lasting joy and peace. The Stoics practiced what they called voluntary discomfort, living without luxuries for periods to remind themselves of what truly mattered. This practice helped them develop gratitude for simple things and resilience against the desire for more. Imagine shifting your focus from external possessions to internal growth. Instead of asking, "What can I acquire?" ask, "How can I improve?" By prioritizing virtues over wealth, you nurture a source of satisfaction that is independent of circumstances. This is the essence of Stoic contentment, a contentment rooted not in things, but in values. To begin reducing attachment to materialism, the Stoics recommend practicing gratitude and mindfulness. Reflect on the abundance you already have and consider how little you actually need to live well. By simplifying your life and focusing on what is truly necessary, you free yourself from the anxiety and dissatisfaction that accompany material desires. In the next section, we will explore a habit that impacts our ability to remain calm and centered, the inability to cope with negative emotions. How can we learn to manage our emotions in a way that strengthens rather than weakens us? 7. Inability to cope with negative emotions. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by anger, envy, or fear, only to find that these emotions cloud your judgment and lead you to actions you later regret? In Stoic philosophy, managing emotions is not about suppressing them, but learning to respond to them with reason and clarity. When we let negative emotions control us, we weaken our ability to act virtuously and mindfully. Stoicism teaches us to acknowledge these emotions without allowing them to dictate our actions. For the Stoics, emotions are natural responses to our perceptions of the world. Yet they emphasized that we have control over our evaluations and, by extension, our emotional responses. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can pause, reflect, and choose a response aligned with our principles. Epictetus advised, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about these things." By questioning the judgments that lead to anger or envy, we can transform our reactions and find inner peace. Consider how often we react emotionally without truly understanding the source of our feelings. The Stoics recommend cultivating mindfulness, a practice of observing our thoughts and emotions as they arise. When we notice anger, for example, we can pause and ask ourselves why we are feeling this way. Is it because someone has wronged us, or is it our interpretation of their actions that disturbs us? This moment of reflection provides an opportunity to choose a more rational and compassionate response. Another Stoic technique for managing negative emotions is to focus on what is within our control. When we experience jealousy, fear, or frustration, it is often because we are clinging to expectations or desires that depend on external factors. By shifting our focus to what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and character, we reduce the power that external events have over us. This shift leads to greater emotional stability, a key element of Stoic resilience. Imagine the freedom that comes from not being swayed by every emotional impulse. Instead of reacting with frustration when things don't go as planned, you respond with calm acceptance, understanding that life is filled with unexpected events. This is the Stoic approach to emotional mastery, a practice that allows us to act with wisdom and grace, even in challenging situations. As you reflect on this, consider how managing your emotions more effectively can bring you closer to the Stoic ideals of peace and inner strength. Next, we'll discuss a habit that often traps us in regret: Dwelling on past mistakes. How can we learn from the past without being bound by it? 8. Dwelling on past mistakes. Do you find yourself replaying past mistakes, trapped in a cycle of regret, guilt, and self-blame? This habit can feel inescapable, but Stoic philosophy teaches us to concentrate on the present, to learn from our mistakes, and then let them go. Dwelling on the past weakens us, chaining us to events that cannot be changed, and diverting our energy from what truly matters, the present. Epictetus once said, "What really frightens and dismays us is not external events themselves, but the way in which we think about them." Dwelling on mistakes is a prime example of this. It is not the mistake itself that harms us, but our interpretation of it, our tendency to hold on to it and use it as evidence against ourselves. Stoicism encourages us to examine these thoughts and to understand that our mistakes do not define us. Rather, it is our response to them that shapes our character. The Stoics remind us that the past is beyond our control, but the present and our actions within it are fully within our grasp. When we focus on what we can control, our current attitudes, choices, and intentions, we free ourselves from the heavy burden of past mistakes. Instead of ruminating on what went wrong, we can ask ourselves what lessons we can extract and how we can use these insights to improve. One powerful way to break the cycle of regret is through self-forgiveness. Stoicism does not advocate ignoring or minimizing our mistakes. Rather, it encourages us to accept them as part of our human experience. Mistakes are valuable teachers, offering us lessons that success alone cannot provide. When we forgive ourselves, we allow room for growth, turning what could have been a source of shame into an opportunity for wisdom. Imagine viewing each mistake as a stepping stone on the path to self-improvement. Instead of allowing regret to dominate your thoughts, you acknowledge the lesson, make any necessary amends, and move forward with a clearer understanding of yourself. This shift not only strengthens your resolve, but also aligns you with the Stoic pursuit of virtue and self-mastery. The journey through these 8 habits, ignoring others, seeking validation, procrastination, negative self-talk, avoiding challenges, excessive materialism, emotional instability, and dwelling on past mistakes, has brought us face to face with the ways we may be undermining our own potential. But Stoicism offers not just insight, but a path forward, a way to transform these habits into virtues that guide us toward resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. As you move forward, remember that Stoicism is not a quick fix, but a daily practice of self-awareness, rational thought, and virtue. Embrace each day as an opportunity to cultivate these virtues, letting go of what weakens you and strengthening what empowers you. Reflect on the lessons from this exploration, asking yourself, which habit will I begin to change today? How can I align my actions with Stoic principles to live a life of purpose and tranquility? If this exploration resonated with you, consider leaving a comment with your thoughts or sharing how Stoicism has impacted your journey. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more Stoic insights, and share it with others who may benefit from the transformative power of these timeless principles. Thank you for joining this journey, and may the wisdom of Stoicism guide you toward a life of strength, wisdom, and fulfillment.